This past week in Elden Ring, I invaded someone else, giving a whole new meaning to invasion sensation. Welcome back, classy crew, to my Elden Ring journals as I journey through this game trying to kill every unique boss. Progress update. Last time I had 22 unique bosses. Today I have 26 unique bosses complete, which I think puts me at roughly 25% of the game of completion of my pledge. To my understanding, there's about 100 bosses, roughly, give or take. So let's talk about this invasion, because I've played Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and now Elden Ring, and if there's one thing I kind of avoided and never really did was invade other players, mostly because in Dark Souls I didn't like it. In Dark Souls 3 I was starting to like it and I didn't want to ruin someone else's experience. In Bloodborne I just wasn't very good at it. But in Elden Ring, you know, I've been getting fingers left and right, and I have this whole collection of fingers, and the latest finger I got, people said, okay, it's time, Jason, to leave and explore other worlds with one of these fingers. And I invaded someone else's world, not knowing really what to expect other than probably pain, because I'm like, at this point, the people still playing this game are most likely, and the people playing online are most likely veterans in endgame gear that are just going around slapping noobs like me. So anyways, I put the finger thing on the ground, and then I invaded a world, and there were 3 players in here, and I did not understand what was going on. So I was hitting everybody because I saw everybody was hitting somebody, and I got the text that said, go kill this guy. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go kill this guy. But then this other guy was attacking me. Anyways, long story short, I learned it was 2v2. I thought it was 1v3. Whoops. It was an interesting experience, but it's not what I can't say it's a better experience than the core game itself, mostly because of the lag. So when you're playing the base game, you slash, you hit your opponent, they get hit. In PvP, you slash, sometimes you hit your opponent, and sometimes you slash air and it still hits your opponent. Sometimes you make contact with your opponent and they don't get damaged. So the whole like lag mechanic of PvP throws me off. I think it's an acquired taste. I think you can definitely get used to it. But it just feels off to me that, you know, I can see my weapon connecting with the character and they don't get hit. And sometimes I'm just hitting air and I see blood come out of the opponent. So that's weird. Happy to say, though, I did kill my first invasion. And it was thanks to my buddy, which I didn't know was my buddy. So I was hitting him as well. Anyways, let's talk about these bosses and what I did. So this past week, so last journal, we were in Liurnia. Look at that. I remembered it without writing it. And I explored the east side. And so today, this past week, I figured I'll explore the west side. And maybe if there's time, we're actually going to explore the wet lake area. So I went up the west side, came across a village called the village of Albinaurics. Not a happy place, let me tell you. The inhabitants looked a little dead, a lot of them hanging from trees. And here we met Nefeli again, who was the lady hanging out at the hub. She was the adopted daughter of Sir Gideon, and yeah, she was pretty disgusted with what happened at the village of Albinaurics. It looks like there was a slaughter that happened here. I explored around. I found something really cool, which is called the Halig Tree Sacred Medallion. I got half of it, and apparently if I find both of them, this unlocks a lift that takes me to Miquila's Halig Tree. I have no idea what this is, but the fact that I need a medallion to get to it makes me want to get to it. So I've got half the medallion, got to figure out what the other half of the medallion is. I learned where the other half is. It's somewhere in the west side on the west of the ruins in Liurnia, because Sir Gideon talks about it. He's like, oh, you got the medallion. Well, the other medallion's over here. You should go get it. I'm like, okay, I will. The other thing in Village of Albinaurics is there was a Capra Demon wannabe here called the Omen Killer. He's got 2 swords and two dogs. So I killed him. Really, that's all there is to it. He was a little intimidating at first. He's got a cool like fire breath thing. I think I died once, but then I killed him. And we got a talisman from it that I probably won't use. So I did a bunch more adventuring, but then I went back to the hub. This was very different. I got attacked this time. As soon as I arrived there, I got attacked by Ensha of the Royal Remains. And I wasn't sure who this was. Like, I'm like, why am I getting attacked? So I killed him. And then I got back into the normal area. I was like, what the heck was that? Who's that? Why did that happen? What was the trigger? And then I realized the dude who hangs out Sir Gideon's office was no longer there. There was just some armor, which I took, and now I wear. So I'm like, oh, it's the guy, aka Edgelord. He attacked me. Why did he attack me? And then I'm talking to Sir Gideon, and he was telling me that Nefeli has now been disowned. I was like, why are you disowning your daughter? He's like, oh, she got in the way. So I think because I killed Omen Killer, who killed the village of Albinaurics. That was not approved by Sir Gideon. Oh yeah, we're getting into some lore here. So he disowned Nefeli because Nefeli's like, that's not right. You shouldn't be slaughtering people. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. You probably shouldn't do that. So she got blamed for what I did. But now it's like, Sir Gideon, why did you want to kill these people? Why was the Omen Killer a boss on your side? And why did your edgelord attack me when I came back? Something's going on here. Sir Gideon is not the good man I thought he was. I think I'm going to have to fight him. He knows too much. And then I kept exploring the west side. I came across another Erd Tree avatar. This is like my third one at this point. And I found a new catacomb called Roads and Catacomb. This was a super interesting catacomb because I walked in my usual, like, all right, what's going to jump me? And I made it to the end. I got my Ash of War and nothing, there was no boss. And I was like, well, this is exceptionally weird. Now, the end of the catacomb ended with a wall that was a mirror, like a transparent wall or a fake wall. And once you go through it, then you get your Ash of War. So I'm like, oh, that's an interesting illusion. So on my way back, I'm like, that can't just be what it is. And I could hear things like monsters in the walls. And I started rolling into walls and I found another invisible wall or a fake wall. And I killed the guy there. And then within the invisible wall, I found another invisible wall. I was like, oh, this is one of those catacombs where all the walls are fake walls. And so I started rolling into all the walls. And there were so many here. And I eventually came across a boss room. I was like, oh, I like this catacomb. It flips my expectations on its head. And here I came across the Spirit Caller Snail. I was like, oh, that's a cute name. And then this very familiar image appeared in the middle of the room. I was like, why does this look like one of those knights? What are they called? They're I killed it. I killed one of them. Oh shoot, I forget what it's called. Anyways, he destroyed me. He was so aggressive. He's just like walking slowly. And he's just bam, thrust and kills me. And I was like, okay. And I was attacking him and I noticed his health bar wasn't moving. I was like,
immortal.
It's one of these gimmick fights I see. Now the fact that the name of the boss is Spirit Caller Snail was the hint. First of all, I'm like, well, this does not look like a snail, first of all. So I figured there must have been a snail somewhere in the room. And the fact that it's a spirit caller and this thing looked like a spirit, I'm like, okay, the snail called the spirit. But I'm like, I can't find the snail. So let's deal with this thing and then I'll find the snail. So I killed the knight and then the snail appeared. And then I started like bashing on the snail and he was like singing. I was like, oh no, he's going to call another one. And he was summoning another one. But luckily I killed the snail before he could summon another one. Then also something new happened in the hub. So I've been advancing Rodrika's quest, talking with the blacksmith and stuff. And now she's moved into the room with the blacksmith and she's kind of opened up a shop for spirit tuning because she's being trained in that. And she has like, I don't know, skills in that. Well, now I can level up my ashes. I think it's called the Nash. The summons. I can level up my summons, which is useless because I'm on a pledge of no summons, so I'm not going to be using this, but cool that I unlocked it. And then afterwards, I was pretty much locked out of the west side. Like the rest of that territory is on a really high cliff, and I don't know how to get to that. So I focused in the water area instead, and I was just kind of exploring on the west side. Oh, I was actually trying to find the second half of the Spirit Medallion. And anyways, I didn't find it, but I found a dragon called the Glintstone Dragon Smaragd, which I love that name. And I don't know why I get so excited at big monsters now. I mean, I probably do. It's because I've been fighting them for the last two years. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to attack you. And I took on this dragon without a horse, which is a big difference from before. I'm just like, I think I can take on this dragon without a horse. I'm pretty sure I can do it. I just got to position, get between his legs. He was a good fight. I killed him. And then I found the key. This is the key that I've been looking for in this region that unlocks the academy. So I'm like, I can't believe I found this organically without trying. I was so excited about that. I was like, well, we're done exploring the region. Let's go explore the academy now that I got the key. It felt so rewarding to find that on my own without help. And I went into the academy and it was a nice steady like trudge through like opponent after opponent. There was a bunch of Burger King man in there. And they were like casting spells and like roll through the spells, attack. I just felt so comfortable with this, with my skill set, with my level, with everything. And I was just destroying things. And I'm like, I'm going to have it my way. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. And I worked my way through and I came across the last boss of the night, which was the Red Wolf of Radagon, which now I understand. I'm like, oh, this is the puppy of the guy who came here and screwed over the queen of this land to go marry another queen so he could become lord. See, I'm remembering things. This red wolf was aggressive as heck. He's got a flame sword. He jumps at you. He breathes fire, if I remember right. He killed me many times, but I eventually found the openings, found the dance, the rhythm, killed him. And then the last thing is, so I ran around the academy, found a second key, which I need a little bit of help here because people are like, oh, you can give that key to Sorcerer Thops, which was a sorcerer I met at the beginning of the region like many weeks ago. So I went back. He's been looking for a key to get back into the academy himself. He's kind of a weak sorcerer that sells you cheap spells. So I'm like, hey, I got your key. He's like, yeah, I can go back to the academy and I can continue to study. I'm like, yeah, happiness. And then he goes back and I found him in the academy and he was dead at his desk. Oh, no, he's dead. In true Soulsborne lore fashion. And he gave, there was a spell there for some protective thing. And when you read the description, it's like he's worked his whole life to create this spell, and it's apparently an amazing spell. And so Sorcerer Thops, we helped him achieve his life goal, but it cost him his life. And that is just very depressing. So here we are. I'm now at level 43, 26 unique bosses down. I've killed 30 bosses in total, if we count the duplicates. I've found a spare key, I think, as well in the academy. I'm not sure where to go in the academy, honestly. I've gone through it all, and I think I got a key that unlocks an area that I forgot was locked. So I have to find that area again, which means I have to scour the whole academy once more so I can make progress. But we're pretty much done with the academy. I know that there's a library in this region, and that is where, I forget what her name is already. I should have written down her name. What was her name? Lady Renala. She's, I think, the pivotal figure in this region. So Lady Renala, I have to discover who she is. And there's a few other things left in this region, but I think I am winding down with Liurnia. I'll probably hit roughly level 50 before I move on to another area. I don't know which one yet. And I'll keep you all updated in my next journal. Hopefully I see you there or in the next stream. And until next time, keep it classy. Do, 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 do. Subscribe.